What's going on, everybody? My name is Manatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our GBA Week 7 Team Builder versus Dan, aka A-Drive, and the New York Metapods. He is a gigantic YouTuber. I'm sure you've probably heard of him by now. If you're not subbed to him, go check him out. His link is in English. His link is in the description below. He's a cool dude. But this week we have to destroy him. So, just going off of his roster, I'm going to be reading that off right now. It is over on my phone. He's got a pretty scary team. Definitely a team that that I think he's getting more comfortable with. But anyway, he has his Mega Altaria, Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn, Hitmontop, Chansey, Galvantula, Dragalge, Flygon, Metacham, Gourgeist, and Victini. So, something you may notice right off the bat there, he does not have a lot of speed on his team. The fastest thing that he has is, I believe, just base 100 and Galvantula 108, and then it drops to Victini. So he doesn't have a lot of super fast things. He does have a lot of potential Scarfers, like he's got the Rotom Wash, the Metacham, the Flygon, the Galvantula if he wants to, the Victini, of course. So his team has a lot of wall breakers. I went over a couple of them there. His team's definitely spooky. And the thing about Dan is he's struggling a little bit this season. I believe he only has 2 wins or something. He's got a negative record, but I am not going to be counting him out whatsoever. This man won the GBA last season. He has proven time and time again that he can be a very potent threat in this league, and this season is no exception. Yes, he's struggling. I think he's having some troubles getting used to the team. Some people may say that it's not necessarily the best team. I can see why, I can see the issues that it has, but I can definitely see the threats that it possesses, and I can definitely see what the potential in that team is. And it's only a matter of time, at least I think, before Dan unleashes that potential, and it's only a matter of time before Dan really starts playing like I know he can again, because he is a very good battler, and it's going to be very tough to deal with him. But I think the team of 6 that I have brought is going to be able to handle his team relatively well. Maybe it was kind of tough predicting the 6 that he's going to bring. I don't typically do that. I try and prep as best as I can for for whatever team 6 he may bring, but lately I've been getting into the habit of kind of trying to predict what my opponent might bring, though I still make sure I cover everything, because that's how you lose games straight away, is by thinking that something's not going to come when it does. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the team that we are bringing. Starting off, we have our Amoonguss, Black Sludge Regenerator, relatively standard set, fully specially defensive. I don't know why I have all that there, but let me just fix that real quick. Perfect. Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, Hidden Power Fire, and Spore. Very standard. This is typically what you would run in OU. Hidden Power Fire, of course, is for that Ferrothorn. I have a chance to 2 a KO. It's probably going to be a 3 a KO, but if he's running like fully physically defensive, then I will be able to 2 a KO, which is nice. Sludge Bomb, largely there for the Mega Altaria, as well as just general stab, being able to land poisons on things. Spore is just super good. The only thing he has to be immune, or the 2 things he has to be immune, are the Gourgeist, which I can hit with Sludge Bomb and potentially get a poison off, and is a free switch into my Emboar, and the Ferrothorn, which is a relatively safe switch into my Emboar, and I can hit with the Hidden Power Fire. So, Amoonguss is very good for his team. This is one of my best stops to the Mega Altaria. My team deals with Mega Altaria relatively well, but I still need a decent switch into it, still need something to check it. So I do have my specially defensive Amoonguss. I can take physical hits from it relatively well anyway, and I'm fearing a special set from him the most. It'll be with like Hyper Voice, Fire Blast, Roost, and something like that, because with Fire Blast he can hit my Bronzong as well as my Amoonguss. Spadef is my best chance of taking that on. I can take a Hyper Voice plus Fire Blast, can take 2 Flamethrowers, so this is a very important mon for his team. It also deals with the Rotom Wash very well. Like I said, deals with the Ferrothorn, can deal with the Hitmontop, can kind of deal with the Galvantula. Even the Dragalge cannot do a ton to me. Draco Meteor hurts, but I can live it and then get Regenerator, have him be at -4. Can deal with Metacham's Fighting Stab. Obviously, if it's choice locked into a fighting move, I can deal with it with Amoonguss, so obviously I don't want to stay in versus Psychic or a Thunder Punch, or an Ice Punch rather. And Victini does shit on me, but, what are you going to do? That's what Victini does. So, very important mon for his team. Definitely a very good pivot. Deals with the majority of his team. Granted, unfortunately, the Rotom Wash can gain momentum off of me. Mega Altaria can possibly 2 a KO me with Fire Blast if he's running it, but overall, I feel like this is a very good mon for his team, and hopefully I'll be able to use it effectively. Now, with that being out of the way, let us move on now to our Garchomp. We are running an SD Lumberry Garchomp. This is so that I can set up on things like the Rotom Wash, I can set up on the Gourgeist, I can set up on things like Ferrothorn. Obviously, though, it wouldn't be able to status me because T-Wave wouldn't work. If he has Toxic, I can deal with it that way. You know, things like that, statuses like that. If he's got like a Will-O-Wisp Victini just to specifically hit my Garchomp, I would think he'd want to bring Glaciate, but in case he brings Will-O-Wisp just to catch other things on the switch, then Garchomp definitely works in that regard. But this is one of my biggest late game cleaners or late game sweepers for his team. Like I said, his team's very slow. The only thing that outspeeds Garchomp on his team is Galvantula. Once I get rid of that, I can possibly set up an SD and then sweep his team, though it might be a little bit difficult with Mega Altaria around. After Rocks, the +2 Earthquake should be able to knock it out, unless he's a bulkier set. +2 Dragon Claw easily 2-KOs the Rotom, and I can knock that out after a few Rock switch-ins. +2 Fire Fang knocks out the Ferrothorn, bar it being Aqua Berry. I can pretty much just set up on the Hitmontop. Hitmontop can't do much to me, doesn't get access to Ice Punch, and Close Combat will hurt a bit if he's offensive, but it will also deal damage to him with the Rough Skin. I don't think he'd want to stay in versus me. The Dragalge I outspeed can knock out with Earthquake. The Flygon outspeed, as long as it's not Scarf, knock it out with the Dragon Claw. Metacham goes down to +2 Earthquake, and I can outspeed it naturally. And Gourgeist I need a little bit of damage on, so I can knock it out with +2 Fire Fang. Gourgeist is very bulky, so +2 Fire Fang actually doesn't straight up knock it out. And then there's Victini, which of course I do Oko with the Earthquake and can knock out from full, assuming he's not shook up. So this is a very big threat to his team. I'm hoping to save this till the end, find something to set up against, set up an SD, and then just kind of win the game from there. Even like, the only way Rotom Wash can knock me out is if he is offensive with HP Ice, and even then it's not a guaranteed KO on me. If he's defensive, HP Ice does not kill me at all, and like I said, I have the Lumberry for the Will-O-Wisp, so that's going to be very nice for me. And yeah, not much else to go over with this thing. It's a very big threat to his team, and I'm hoping that I can pull off a little sweep with it, or at least deal massive damage to his team with this. Now, next one we have is also something to possibly capitalize on his very slow team, and something that he kind of has a switch into, well, kind of has like a couple switch-ins too, but something that is still a huge threat to his team, and that is Life Orb Porygon-Z. Now, like I said, team is relatively slow. He's got I outspeed Mega Altaria, outspeed Rotom Wash, I outspeed the Ferrothorn, the Hitmontop, the Chansey, the Dragalge, the Metacham, the Gourgeist. So I didn't feel like Scarf was necessary for this match. I don't want to be locked in a Tri-Attack because he has things like Chansey and Gourgeist to switch into. Granted, I could trick the Chansey as Scarf, but that's kind of going to be tough because if I trick the Gourgeist with Scarf, it's nice, but Gourgeist isn't the biggest threat to my team. I have things to deal with that anyway, and I would rather just be able to hit things as hard as possible. Like, if I'm Scarfed and he is a Spadef, Altaria Tri-Attack will not be able to 2-KO it, whereas Life Orb, Ice Beam will be able to. I just don't want to find myself into a bad situation where I'm choice locked and he can take advantage of that, you know? Like, I really just don't want something like that to happen. I would rather just be free to switch up my moves and hit things as hard as possible. Tri-Attack, 2-KOs Rotom, Ice Beam, 2-KOs Mega Altaria, Hidden Power Fire, 2-KOs the Ferrothorn, Tri-Attack, 2-KOs Hitmontop, Okos the Galvantula, Ice Beam 2-KOs Non-Assault, that's Dragalge, Ice Beam knocks out the Flygon, Tri-Attack knocks out the Metacham, Ice Beam 2-KOs the Gourgeist. You see what I'm saying here, it's doing a ton of damage to everything, can even 2-KO the Victini. So this is just kind of to punch holes in his team, possibly weaken things for a Garchomp sweep later on. It is huge, and the last move there, as you can see, is Recover. As I'm finding out with Porygon-Z, don't need any more move coverage other than these 3 moves here. So since I'm not choice, I decided to go with Recover. I'm running Life Orb, I'm going to be taking damage, so I might as well be able to possibly force something out later on and just go for Recover, get all that health back, which is going to be very nice. And yeah, nothing really else to go over there. That is our Porygon-Z. Huge threat to his team. Does not have super safe switch-ins to it other than the Chansey, but Chansey I will deal with in a little bit, as I'll show you later on. Well, actually, I kind of deal with it with Garchomp because I can set up on it, and I have the Lumberry to deal with Toxic, and Ice Beam will do nothing because Chansey's special attack is terrible. But to also kind of deal with Chansey, as well as some other things on his team, we have our physically defensive Taunt Mandibuzz with Foul Play, Defog, Taunt, and Roost. Now, I didn't really want to bring Defog because I typically try to just gain myself momentum with things like U-Turn. I don't care too much about hazards with this team, but I cannot deal with Sticky Web. Sticky Web is a huge problem to this team. It slows down my Garchomp, my Porygon-Z, my Emboar, all of those things, and that's just... I really can't have my offensive mons slow down like that, because then something like Life Orb Metacham just kind of cleans through me. Like, it just straight sweeps me with Webs Up and Mandibuzz weakened, and Mandibuzz and Bronzong weakened, so I cannot allow that to happen. Mega Altaria too, like it'll outspeed my Garchomp, will be able to knock me out before I knock it out. It's a very big threat to my team, Sticky Web is, so I need to be able to defog that, which I should be able to do relatively freely once the Galvantula is gone. Mandibuzz forces some switches on his team, like, I can even live, like, a Volt Switch from Rotom Wash and defog, I can live any hit from Jigalgi defog, same with the Flygon, Metacham, Gourgeist, Victini, and speaking of Victini, that is why that 84 speed EVs are there. With the 84 speed, I will be able to outspeed a Victini, a Jolly Victini, that went for V-Create, which is very nice on the following turn, obviously non-scarfed. But that's important because suppose I have no speed, Victini goes for V-Create, it can possibly 2-hit KO me. With this speed investment, at least, I will be able to take a V-Create, do about 45 to 55%, and then I'll be able to knock him out with Foul Play on the next turn, which is really good because he may think that he can outspeed me on the next turn, because with no speed investment he would if he was max invested. But with this speed investment, I'll be able to take a V-Create relatively well. This is also my best switch into the Metacham, nothing 2-hit KOs me, bar Life Orb, or like Black Belt, High Jump Kick or something like that, which I don't really expect him to bring, but this is just a very nice bulky mon for his team. Taunt just shuts down the Chansey, cannot touch me. My HP stat is high enough to the point where I can roost off Seismic Tosses eventually, like with no problem. I taunt the Ferrothorn, prevent that thing from getting up hazards. That's about it. I guess I can taunt the Dragalge in case I think it's going for Toxic Spikes. Can taunt the Gourgeist, which is nice, stop that thing from Will-O-Wisping or Leech-Eating me. And yeah, that's about it. Mandibuzz, very big threat to his team. No real way to hit the Mega Altaria, but like I said, I do have my 2 checks to Mega Altaria in Amoonguss and Bronzong. And Bronzong is the mon we will be going over now. So, Bronzong. We have a relatively standard moveset here. Gyro Ball, Earthquake, Toxic, Stealth Rock. Just overall the best for his team. Toxic is nice to hit a possible Gourgeist or Victini switch in. Also nice for the Mega Altaria, though I do have Gyro Ball. Also a big one would be to Toxic the incoming Rotom, since obviously he can take whatever I can dish out to it. He may want to switch that in, go for a Hydro Pump, burn me, Volt Switch out, so I can at least hit that thing with the Toxic there. I wanted to fit, I kind of had 4 move slot syndrome with this thing. Like I wanted Hidden Power Fire for the Ferrothorn, I wanted Psychic for the Hitmontop, but determined that this was best overall. I can Toxic the Hitmontop anyway. And as you can see here, we are physically defensive with the Akaberry. This thing, when you look at my team, you look at my entire roster, Victini likes it. It doesn't, it enjoys this team because it can kind of just do whatever it wants to it. It can just click V-Create, essentially. V-Create and Glaciate are really the only moves he would want to click versus my team. Maybe Psychic as well for the Emboar, but even V-Create's going to do plenty to it. So Bronzong is meant to take a V-Create from near full and then just fire off an Earthquake onto it on the following turn, get some nice damage. After Stealth Rock, it is a roll whether or not I can kill it with the, or I may be able to kill it with Earthquake after the V-Create defense drop on it, so that's really nice, and I would happily trade my Bronzong for Victini, unless I may want to try and get Stealth Rocks up earlier, but regardless, I would happily trade my Bronzong for Victini, because Victini is a big issue, and can definitely sweep me late game if he's like Expert Belt or something like that. Don't expect him to be Scarfed, because he wouldn't want to be choice locked into V-Create on my Garchomp or something like that, but he definitely could. Victini is one of those kind of unpredictable mons, especially against my team, but regardless, this Bronzong can take any one hit from it and then fire off an Earthquake, get at least some damage off on it. If he goes for V-Create, great, I can live it, hit him with an Earthquake while he's at -1 defense. So, with Bronzong out of the way, let us move on to our last mon on the team, and that is our Emboar. As you can see here, we're running a little bit different of a set. We have brought Life Orb in the past, brought things like that. But this week we were bringing a subset with Flare Blitz, Superpower, Sucker Punch, and Substitute. Now, this is a huge threat versus his team because it just, it's good at wall breaking, obviously, that's what it does. It deals with the Ferrothorn, obviously deals with the Gourgeist, and with Substitute, and my amount of HP, I will be able to set up a sub versus Chansey, and it cannot break my sub with anything, including Seismic Toss, which is nice because then I will have a free sub up versus Chansey, and I can just do whatever I want to the rest of his team. He does have some kind of switch-ins, mainly being Mega Altaria. Was very close to bringing Iron Head on this thing, but I needed the 3 moves here. Flare Blitz is just so I can hit the, obviously, Ferrothorn and everything as hard as possible. Superpower is mainly there to hit the Chansey, of course, as well as hitting the Rotom Wash as hard as I possibly can. And then, as you see there, we have the Sucker Punch. Now, Sucker Punch is also for the Victini, because like I said, Victini is a huge problem, and I need some ways to possibly pick that thing off, because if I, like, for example, suppose I don't get Rocks up, or suppose he's preserved it very well, I will not be able to take it out very easily, and I need a way to possibly pick that off. And Sucker Punch is a good way to do it. It'll do a little over 50%. And even though we are not rocking Life Orb, Max Attack Emboar still hurts really hard. And if I can get up a free sub versus Chansey, then that would be absolutely wonderful, because he does not have great switch-ins to this thing. The switch-ins he does have, I do have responses to, namely being the Mega Altaria. So, that is the team versus Dan. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you're looking forward to the match that'll be going up on Sunday. And, yeah, that is all I gotta say, and I'll see you next time.